Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we would look at the repurchase agreement, and specifically we would look at a put option. And the reason I mention a put option, because in the prior session we looked at the forward contract and the call option. So if you did not view the prior session, I strongly recommend you go back and view it, because this session carries from the prior session, and the prior session talks about a repurchase agreement when we make a sale, and there's some sort of an agreement where we buy back the product, or the customer can force sell it back to us. In this session, we'll focus on the put option. In the prior session, we looked at the forward contract where the seller is required, they have to buy, or the call option where the seller has the right but not the obligation to buy back. They can if they want to. In this session, we would look at the put option. In a put option, the customer, things reverse. In a put option, the power holder is the customer. The customer can sell you back the product and you have to buy it back from them. So the accounting treatment depends on what type of agreement do we have. Do we have a forward contract? Do we have a call option, or do we have a put option? So in this session, we will focus on, you guessed it, the put option. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com.
My AI turns any lecture into a complete study system. You can create summary table, formulas, and example from each lecture. Flashcard builds from the lesson itself. A quiz build on the lesson, and as a bonus, convert any lecture into a portable short audio on the go, so it helps you with the retention. No noise, no generic responses, just clarity based on that specific lecture. Don't just watch, interact, test yourself, and retain the material using Farhat AI. Now go to FarhatLectures.com now and see how the AI can help you understand, practice, and retain the material.
First, let's make sure we all understand what a put option or put options. A put option, when you have the right to sell something to someone else at a particular price. So here we have a customer, because in a transaction we have a seller and a customer. Here the customer can reverse the transaction and force you to sell it. Now remember, we talked about the forward and the call where it's the opposite. Here, the customer can sell you back and you have to buy it back from them. So the accounting treatment for a put option will have three important factors. If you remember under the forward and call option, we looked at the original selling price and the repurchase price. For the put option, yes, we would look at the original selling price. We would look at the repurchase price, but we have a third variable to take into account. And that third variable is the economic incentive of the customer. In other words, we ask ourselves, does the customer have any economic incentive to sell you back this asset? What does it mean, economic incentive? It means they are better off economically if they sell it back to you because they have this option. Do they, or don't they? Because we have to make that determination, and based on that determination we'll determine the treatment of the transaction. So yes, the original price would still matter, how much we sold it to them originally. The repurchase price matters. If we have to buy it back, how much do we pay? But the third variable is, does the customer have incentives to come back and sell it back to us, or they have no incentive to do so? So there are various scenarios that could happen. Let's look at the first scenario. What could happen is this: the purchase price is less than the original selling price. So let's assume we sold something for $500,000. That's the original selling price. And the purchase price is $450,000. So the purchase price is less than the original selling price. What's going to happen is this: we ask ourselves, does the customer have a significant economic incentive to exercise? If the answer is no, they don't have any incentive to exercise. Hold on a second. Why wouldn't they have any incentive to exercise? So let me ask you, just from an economic business perspective, under what circumstances, if you're the customer, You purchase something for $500,000. You can sell it back to the seller for $450,000, but you have no incentive to do so. Why would you have no incentive? Because you might have a third party that will buy this from you for $550,000. So if you have a third party, you can go online, post this product online, and sell it for $550,000. You have no incentive to go back and exercise it at $450,000. So what would happen is the seller, if they know the market out there gives the buyer the option to sell it at a higher price, they know the buyer will not come back to them. Therefore, there's no incentive. It will be a sale with the right of return. Simply put, it will be a sale. Why? Because we gave up control. Now you purchased it. That's it. You keep the asset. You can do whatever you want to do with it. You're not likely to come back and ask us to buy it for $450,000 if you can sell it for $550,000 somewhere else. So you have no incentive. Therefore, it's a sale. If you have an incentive to come back and sell it to the seller, sell it back to the seller. You purchase something for $500,000, you can go back and sell it to them. Why? You will do so. Let's assume you went back to sell it and you can get for it $300,000. So if you go back to a third party and you wanted to sell this product, you can get for it $300,000. And guess what now? Now you have every incentive to do what? Go back and tell the seller, look, we have an agreement here. You have to buy it back for $450,000. And why? Because it's in your interest. It's in your interest to do so as the buyer. So you have an economic incentive. So exercising the put option provide the customer with a meaningful economic benefit. Under those circumstances, how do we treat this transaction? We treat it as a lease. Simply put, it's rental income. We basically rented you this product for $50,000. We sold it for $500,000. We buy it back from you for $450,000. We have a rental income over that period of $50,000. So we treat this as a lease income or rental income. Now let's assume the purchase price is greater than the original selling price. So the original selling price is $500,000. You are willing to buy it back from them for $550,000. Again, now what we have to do is we would look at the market. So we look, the purchase price is greater than the original price. Okay. Is the repurchase price greater than the market? So now what we do, as the buyer, we bought this thing, whatever that thing, that building, and if we can go out there, okay, and sell it for $650,000, we have no incentive to sell it for $550,000. We have no incentive. Why? Because why would we buy it for why would we sell it back for $550,000 if we can sell it on the market for $650,000? If we have no incentive, great. The seller will treat this as a sale with return. That's it. What does that mean? It means you are going to ignore the put option. Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, I made a sale. And my sale is $500,000. That's it. You're not coming back because you have no incentive to come back. And unless you are crazy enough to sell it back for me for $550,000, I will go back and sell it for $650,000. Do you guys see? There's no incentive. You would not do something like that. Now, let's assume the purchase price, now the expected market, if you want to sell it at the market, you can only get for it $400,000. Well, if you can only get $400,000 for it, what you will do, you would say, no, I want to force you into buying it for $550,000. I want to exercise my option. Here you have every incentive to do what? To force the seller to buy it back. So what do we have here? Here we have a financing agreement. You got $500,000 originally, then you have to go back and pay $550,000. So that $50,000 is what? Is financing cost. It's an interest expense. And we looked at the transaction in the prior session. So here in the put option, you just have to use common sense, in a sense, business common sense, business economic sense. Would the buyer have any incentive to come back? If they have no incentive to come back for the option, great. You just made a sale. You just made a sale. If you have an incentive, you have to determine whether the purchase price is greater or equal to the original price. If it is, it's a financing agreement. If it's not, but they have an incentive to come back, it's lease. You have lease income, rental income. And this is a matrix that shows you how to deal with this. Again, slow down when you are analyzing these situations. But look, if the buyer lacks significant incentive to come back, they're not going to come back. If they're not going to come back, you made a sale because you sold them something and they have no incentive to come back. How would you know if they have incentive? Put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, am I better off exercising the option, or am I better off selling it to a third party? If I'm going to exercise the option, I'm coming back. So I have some incentive. Therefore, I have significant incentive. But if I lack significant incentive, the seller would say, that's it, going to come back. I'll treat this as a sale. Now, if the customer has significant incentive, well, you have to look at your situation. When I buy it back, is it less than the original? If it's less than the original, I have rental income. I made rental income because I'm buying it for less when I sold it for. If the repurchase price is greater, I have a financing agreement. I'm buying it back for more. Therefore, the extra more is finance cost. I had to borrow money. I sold it for $500,000. I have to buy it back for $550,000. As always, the best thing to do is to look at numbers. Look at an example with numbers. So let's assume we have Summit Equipment. The seller originally sold a bulldozer for $480,000. That's the original selling price. And they provided an option for the buyer. They will buy it back from the buyer for $430,000. So let's go back and see what we are looking at here. So we have a repurchase price that's less. So we are looking at this scenario here. A purchase price is less. Okay, the repurchase price is less than the original option. Now we have to determine whether the buyer have an incentive to come back. Yes, they come back, or they have no incentive to come back. Let's see what we have here. And that's on or before December 31st. The deal is for 1 year. You're willing to buy it back from them for $430,000. If they want to go out to the market and sell this bulldozer, they sell it for $360,000. Are they going to come back and sell it back to you? 100%. You guessed it, they will. Because what's their incentive here? Their incentive is an extra $70,000 for their incentive. Now for you, what did you do really? What you did is you rented them this bulldozer and you got $50,000. You sold something for $480,000, got it back for $430,000. As far as you're concerned, you made $50,000 in profit in rental income. So here, if we go back to this example, the customer have every incentive to come back. You have lease income. Now, so here's the lease income. The lease income is $50,000. And why would the buyer come back and sell it to you? Because if they don't, their option is the market, and the market is $360,000. No, you know that they are rational enough to come back and force you to buy it. Not force you, exercise the option. Yes, force you to buy it. You have the obligation to buy it for $430,000, and you will be happy to do so because you made $50,000 and you have back the asset. Maybe you can sell it again at some down the road and rent it again, in quote, rent it again, and get some lease income. So just remember, in a put option, you compare the repurchase price to the original selling price. Then you compare the repurchase price to the expected market at the repurchase date. Then you have to determine if there is a significant economic incentive for the person, for the buyer to exercise or not exercise. If they have no incentive to exercise, as far as the seller is concerned, the original seller, it's a sale. If they have an incentive, then it all depends on what was the comparison between the original selling price and the repurchase. If it's less than the original selling price, you have rental income. If it's more, let's assume the repurchase is $550,000, then guess what? Then you loaned money, you borrowed money, and the difference is $70,000. Let's make it $500,000. Let's assume the repurchase is $500,000. They're going to come back and they're going to say, buy it back from me for $500,000. They're not going to sell it for $360,000. They're going to exercise. Then what you had a finance agreement all along, and you are being charged technically $20,000 of interest expense. Just slow down with these questions. If it's a put option, slow down, truly understand it. But how would you do this? Go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional AI CPA questions, multiple choice questions, cases, simulations, exercises, true, false, AI, podcast. Your job is to learn this inside out so you can do well, pass your exam, move on with your life. The best investment you can make is invest in yourself, and God bless.